Continuing from the previous chapter, Lin Dong faced a coordinated attack from two opponents, but still effortlessly passed the first round of the Great Yin Dynasty's seed selection. On the northern side of a massive hall, atop a section of high walls, gathered Mo Jingtian, Lin Fan, and the leaders of various factions. In front of them, a large arena connected to the hall with 5 pathways leading out. Those who emerged from these paths would secure one of the 5 coveted spots in this seed selection. On the high wall, multiple light screens displayed the intense battles happening within the hall. Figures moved swiftly, engaging in fierce combat, while Lin Fan and the others kept their eyes glued to the screens, their tense postures betraying the pressure they felt. Even though this was only the first round, none dared to relax, knowing how much was at stake. Suddenly, everyone's attention was drawn to a particular screen, where 3 figures had appeared. Upon recognizing them, murmurs of interest spread through the crowd. Those 2 are from the Mountain Sect, right? They're pretty lucky to have teamed up. And that third one, isn't that Lin Dong from the Lin clan? Haha, Lin Fan, it looks like your clan is having a stroke of bad luck. What are the chances of this happening in the first round? One of the faction leaders laughed heartily, turning to look at Lin Fan. The latter frowned slightly at the scene on the screen. While it wasn't unheard of for members of the same clan to end up in the same match during the first round, the odds were low. Yet here Lin Dong was, facing just that situation. Haha, clan leader Lin. It seems like your Lin clan might suffer some losses in the first round. A dark-skinned, middle-aged man couldn't help but laugh, his gaze fixed on the screen. Don't get too ahead of yourself, Ming Shan, Lin Fan replied calmly, glancing at the man who was the current leader of the Mountain Sect. Ming Shan chuckled, unable to hide his schadenfreude. If Lin Dong had encountered just one of the Mountain Sect's duo, Ming Shan might have been concerned. But with both of them together, his worries vanished. He knew the pair's teamwork was exceptional. They could even hold their own against a great completion of the creation stage expert. While Lin Dong had been making waves recently, Ming Shan doubted his chances against 2 such opponents. The crowd watched the screen with anticipation, eager to see what this rising star of the Great Yin Dynasty was truly capable of. Lin Fan, however, remained calm. He had witnessed Lin Dong's fierce battle against Lin Langtian, and even ordinary great completion of the creation stage experts would struggle against that level of power. Although the Mountain Sect's duo was rumored to be a match for such experts, they were unaware that even a true great completion expert would have less than a 30% chance of defeating Lin Dong. Otherwise, Lin Ji wouldn't have ended up in such a miserable state after their encounter. Under the gaze of the crowd, the 3 figures on the screen quickly clashed. As time passed, the glee on Ming Shan's face grew more pronounced, as the scene he had envisioned failed to materialize. Instead, Lin Dong steadily gained the upper hand, pushing the duo into a corner. Particularly with the final strike, the screen seemed to shudder, and a flicker of surprise crossed the faces of the faction leaders watching. Their expressions turned more serious as they saw the massive ancient dragon ape within the light screen. Hee, sect leader Ming Shan, it was a good match, Lin Fan said with a faint smile, cupping his hands toward Ming Shan, whose face had turned ashen. The Mountain Sect's only 2 participants had been utterly defeated in the first round, leaving Ming Shan feeling as though he might cough up blood from frustration. Unbelievable luck. Ming Shan muttered angrily, flinging his sleeve in frustration. He had not expected Lin Dong's strength to be so overwhelming. Even the combined efforts of the Mountain Sect's duo had failed to gain any advantage over him. Haha, congratulations, brother Lin Fan. Both participants from the Lin clan have successfully passed the first round. Some of the other faction leaders laughed as they offered their congratulations. Lin Fan smiled and returned their greetings. As Lin Dong successfully defeated the duo, another screen showed Lin Langtian easily overcoming his 2 opponents. With that, both Lin Dong and Lin Langtian had smoothly advanced to the next round. I wonder who their opponents will be next? Lin Fan's gaze grew serious as he looked at the screens. He knew that while the first round was manageable, the next would be much more challenging. After all, those who advanced would be the elite among these young talents. If Lin Dong was unfortunate enough to face one of the top contenders, the battle would undoubtedly be fierce and brutal. Thus, the next 2 rounds would be the most critical in this seed selection. Inside the Great Hall, when the duo finally conceded, the massive bronze doors on the north side slowly opened. Seeing this, Lin Dong took a deep breath and, without hesitation, stepped forward. Beyond the bronze doors lay another long, dimly lit corridor. Lin Dong walked for several minutes before reaching the end, where light began to filter through. As he stepped into the light, he found himself in an even larger hall, with colossal stone pillars towering like giants. This new hall was silent, and Lin Dong moved to the center, his gaze shifting to another passage leading into the hall. However, the dark passage revealed nothing. Still not here? Lin Dong muttered to himself. He knew that another person, just like him, would have defeated two opponents and would soon arrive here to face him in a final showdown. Lin Dong stood quietly at the center of the grand hall, his hands clasped behind his back, and his eyes slightly closed as if resting while awaiting the appearance of his opponent. Even as he waited, Lin Dong's aura remained sharp and unwavering. Though he did not yet know who his opponent in this round would be, he was well aware of the brutal elimination rate in this seed selection. Those with weaker abilities were often weeded out in the first round, leaving only the top talents to proceed. Anyone who made it to this stage would undoubtedly be among the best of the best. Worse still, if luck was not on his side, he might have to face one of the strongest contenders for the top spots, such as Mo Ling in his blue robe or the white-clad swordsman from the Tianluo sect, both of whom would be formidable opponents. If it came to that, his situation would be quite dire. Whether facing Mo Ling or that white-clad swordsman Du Yun with the Skynet sword, even if he managed to win, it would certainly drain a significant amount of his energy. This would leave him far from his peak condition for the final battle that would follow this round. Those who made it to the third round were bound to possess exceptionally powerful abilities, and if Lin Dong were not at his best, it would put him at a significant disadvantage. Thus, Lin Dong was genuinely curious to see who would emerge to face him in this second round. The quiet waiting continued for nearly 10 minutes, and Lin Dong's brow gradually furrowed as he glanced toward the dark passageway. Could it be that his opponent had not yet managed to defeat their first-round opponents? As his frown deepened, Lin Dong's aura subtly weakened, and he exhaled a breath of white mist from his throat. However, just as Lin Dong's aura wavered for that brief moment, a shadow cast by one of the stone pillars behind him began to writhe unnaturally under the flickering lamplight. The shadow suddenly transformed into a blurred figure, moving with lightning speed as it launched a fierce attack at Lin Dong. The attack from the shadow was eerily silent, devoid of any sound or disturbance, yet it was sharp enough to send a chill down anyone's spine. This shadowy strike was clearly unleashed by Lin Dong's opponent, and the most shocking part was that this person had been hiding there all along, waiting for the exact moment when Lin Dong's guard was down. The shadow moved so swiftly that even a great completion of the creation stage expert would have struggled to defend in time. The shadow's sharp attack aimed directly at Lin Dong's vital point on his back. Yet, just as the shadowy figure was mere inches from Lin Dong's back, it suddenly froze. A surge of powerful spiritual energy burst forth from Lin Dong's Naiwan Palace, forming layers of spiritual energy defense on his back, effectively blocking this stealthy attack. Having failed to land the blow, the shadow quickly retreated, landing atop one of the pillars. Looking down at Lin Dong, a faint smile appeared on the shadowy figure's face as he spoke. Impressive. You actually managed to avoid my attack. Lin Dong slowly turned around, his gaze locking onto the figure atop the stone pillar. There, a man dressed in dark clothing stood, exuding an overwhelming sense of arrogance. As Lin Dong looked at this dark-clad man, a flicker of recognition passed through his eyes. Earlier, this man had been standing beside Huangpu Jing, which meant he was likely the genius that the Huangpu clan had sent for this competition. The Shadow Needle, Huangpu Ying. As that shadowy figure revealed itself in the Grand Hall, the eyes of the various faction leaders outside the hall immediately focused on it. Is that Huangpu Ying from the Huangpu clan? Hee. So the seed talents of these two major clans have finally crossed paths. This is going to be interesting. Yes, I've heard that Huangpu Ying once assassinated a great completion of the creation stage expert. His strength is certainly not to be underestimated. Hearing the whispers around him, A trace of seriousness appeared on Lin Fan's face, showing that he was well aware of Huang Pu Ying's reputation. Not far away, Huang Pu Jing's expression changed slightly as she watched the light screen. She hadn't expected that in the second round, Huang Pu Ying would face Lin Dong. Jinger, don't worry too much. While Lin Dong is strong, Huang Pu Ying has many tricks up his sleeve. The outcome of their battle is still uncertain, said a dignified, middle-aged man standing beside her. This was Huang Pu Long, the leader of the Huang Pu clan. Huang Pu Long's gaze was fixed on the two figures in the light screen, but he didn't seem overly concerned. He had watched Lin Dong's previous battle with the two from the mountain sect and acknowledged Lin Dong's formidable physical strength. However, this advantage was less effective against someone like Huang Pu Ying. In fact, Huang Pu Ying's abilities could actually put Lin Dong at a disadvantage, making it difficult for him to fully utilize his power. So when Huang Pu Long saw that Huang Pu Ying's opponent was Lin Dong, he felt a subtle sense of relief. Compared to the other top contenders, he believed Huang Pu Ying stood a better chance against Lin Dong. Despite Huang Pu Long's words, Huang Pu Jing couldn't help but smile bitterly. Although she hadn't interacted much with Lin Dong, what she had witnessed within the ancient desolate tablet gave her a deep understanding of his abilities and temperament. A year ago, he had just entered the Qi creation realm, and now even a great completion of the creation stage expert couldn't easily defeat him. While Huang Pu Ying had many techniques at his disposal, Lin Dong was not someone to be underestimated. The outcome of this battle was still very much up in the air. While the factions outside the hall were buzzing with discussions about this encounter, inside the hall, it was eerily silent. The flickering lanterns cast a cold, killing intent that slowly spread through the air. Lin Dong turned to look at the figure atop the stone pillar and quickly recognized him. Huang Pu Ying, the true genius of the Huang Pu clan. At this moment, Huang Pu Ying's face clearly displayed an unmistakable arrogance, which slightly puzzled Lin Dong. He wasn't surprised by Huang Pu Ying's arrogance, but rather by how such an overtly proud person had earned a name like Shadow Needle. The title suggested a master of stealth and ambush techniques. It was said that Huang Pu Ying had once taken the life of a great completion of the creation stage expert with such skills. Typically, those who excelled in such arts were low-key and sinister, but Huang Pu Ying clearly did not fit that mold. His blatant arrogance seemed entirely at odds with his reputation as a master of stealth. Of course, this could just be a facade designed to mislead others. Regardless, Huang Pu Ying was undoubtedly a formidable opponent who warranted caution. So, you're the famous Lin Dong who's been making waves lately? I thought I'd face you in the final round, but it looks like you're out of luck. Meeting me now, Huang Pu Ying said, looking down at Lin Dong before suddenly adding, Kid, what's your relationship with Qingzhu? Qingzhu? Lin Dong raised an eyebrow. He recalled that Ling Qingzhu had once represented the Huang Pu clan at the ancient tomb pavilion, so she had likely crossed paths with Huang Pu Ying. She will be my woman, Lin Dong replied calmly, glancing at Huang Pu Ying. At these words, Huang Pu Ying's expression instantly darkened. He stared at Lin Dong and slowly said, Originally, I only intended to defeat you, but now it seems you'll have to pay for your arrogance. Big talk, but I doubt you have the ability, Lin Dong replied with a smile. Huang Pu Ying's aura indicated that he was merely at the minor completion of the creation stage. While his stealth techniques might be tricky, thinking he could make Lin Dong pay was a bit presumptuous. Soon, you won't be able to say such things. I'll show you that I'm the only one worthy of Qingzhu. Lin Dong chuckled. Yet another admirer of Ling Qingzhu. She certainly seemed to captivate many young geniuses, all of whom dreamed of winning her over. But that challenge was no less daunting than the so-called 100 Empire War. However, a man's word is his bond. Since Lin Dong had said that Ling Qingzhu would become his woman, he was determined to make it so. As Huang Pu Ying's cold laughter faded, his figure suddenly moved and vanished into thin air. Seeing Huang Pu Ying's sudden and eerie disappearance, Lin Dong's brow furrowed slightly. His eyes quickly scanned the shadows cast by the stone pillars on the ground. He sensed a peculiar energy emanating from those shadows. Huang Pu Ying's stealth techniques were indeed remarkable, allowing him to completely conceal himself within the darkness. As Huang Pu Ying vanished, the hall fell into silence once more, but the faint killing intent in the air grew increasingly intense, almost palpable. Lin Dong remained still at the center of the hall, yet within him, his primordial energy surged rapidly. Waves of powerful energy rippled around his body, and at his fingertips, the energy flickered, crackling like electric sparks. Shadow Phantasm. Suddenly, as Lin Dong's energy swelled, a cold voice rang out. The shadows of the dozen or so massive stone pillars on the ground began to wriggle simultaneously. In an instant, they morphed into more than 10 identical figures, all darting toward Lin Dong at lightning speed. Each of these figures was an image of Huangpu Ying, and their auras were sharp and menacing. However, Lin Dong knew that only one of these 14 figures was real, and the deadliest attack would undoubtedly come from that true form. The phantoms moved with incredible speed, closing the distance to just a few meters from Lin Dong in the blink of an eye. Their vicious attacks descended upon him like a lightning storm. Feeling the fierce assault closing in, Lin Dong's eyes turned icy. He swiftly executed the Tai Ching travel step, his body transforming into a wisp of green smoke as he took a sudden step forward. The green smoke weaved through the attacking phantoms, dodging their strikes with ease. As the smoke darted about, a powerful force surged from Lin Dong's palm, and with each strike, one of the phantoms was shattered into nothingness. In just a few blinks of an eye, only one figure remained out of the 14. When this last figure witnessed Lin Dong's remarkable footwork, his expression shifted, and he abruptly retreated. But before he could withdraw, Lin Dong had already appeared in front of him. With a powerful palm strike, he slammed his hand against the figure's chest. A dull thud echoed, but to Lin Dong's surprise, a cold smile crept onto Huangpu Ying's face. In the next moment, this figure exploded into nothingness. It was yet another phantom. None of the 14 phantoms were real. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed sharply. In the very next instant, he felt the killing intent in the hall suddenly concentrate, and his head snapped upward. Lin Dong, you're nothing special, just brute strength. In my eyes, you're not worth a second thought. A voice taunted from above. Huangpu Ying had reappeared overhead, his figure emerging from the shadows. His hand gripped a dark shadow that rapidly extended, transforming into an eerie gray needle sword. This sword was as thin as a needle, yet it exuded an indescribable sharpness and lethal energy. Huangpu Ying shot forward, the needle sword in his hand aimed with terrifying speed at Lin Dong's crown. The attack was ruthless and precise. If it struck, even Lin Dong would find it impossible to survive. The shadow needle sword rapidly enlarged in Lin Dong's eyes, yet his expression remained unexpectedly calm, devoid of panic. Instead, he boldly extended his hand directly towards the razor-sharp sword, courting death. Seeing Lin Dong's daring move, Huangpu Ying's eyes flashed coldly. His attack was extremely lethal. Even if Lin Dong were to defend with all his might, it might not be enough to block it. For Lin Dong to try and catch it bare-handed was sheer recklessness. The shadow needle sword plunged downward, and in the blink of an eye, it viciously pierced Lin Dong's palm and swiftly bored through. Huangpu Ying's face twisted into a cold smile as he saw the sword puncture Lin Dong's hand. However, that smile abruptly froze on his face when he realized that the sword hadn't emerged from the other side of Lin Dong's hand, nor had any blood spilled. Huangpu Ying's pupils contracted as he noticed something unusual. A swirling black hole had appeared in Lin Dong's palm, and his attack had been sucked into that void, without striking Lin Dong's body. Moreover, from within that black hole, a powerful devouring force emanated, causing Huangpu Ying to feel his energy being drained. His face changed dramatically, and he quickly retreated to a safer distance, his expression darkening. Within the black hole, the shadow needle sword shattered, transforming into a strange grayish-black energy. As Lin Dong clenched his hand, he detected a familiar essence within that peculiar energy. It was spiritual energy. Lin Dong slowly raised his head, gazing at the now grim-faced Huangpu Ying. With a slight smile, he softly said, "So, the power you rely on isn't primordial energy, but your spiritual energy?" As the devouring force absorbed the grayish-black energy, Lin Dong discerned that it contained a form of spiritual energy, though it was mixed with something unusual. This fusion likely granted Huangpu in his unique stealth techniques. This was the first time Lin Dong had encountered such a variant of spiritual energy. It resembled ordinary spiritual energy but differed slightly, similar to Lin Dong's own spiritual and primordial energy. However, Huangpu Ying's fusion was far less complex than Lin Dong's spiritual and primordial energy. After this brief exchange, Lin Dong realized that Huangpu Ying's spiritual energy was indeed formidable, likely at the level of an intermediate spirit rune master. This was also the first time Lin Dong had encountered a peer who, like him, had cultivated both primordial energy and spiritual energy to such a considerable degree. No wonder you're so arrogant. It turns out that beneath your minor completion of the creation stage lies a hidden reservoir of formidable spiritual energy, Lin Dong remarked with a faint smile, raising his gaze to the now slightly grim Huangpu Ying. Since you know this, why don't you just roll out of here? Huangpu Ying sneered. Minor completion of the creation stage, intermediate spirit rune master. You do indeed possess the power to contend with a great completion stage expert. But who told you that a great completion expert could challenge me? A slight curve lifted the corners of Lin Dong's lips, and then his eyes turned icy as his hand suddenly reached out across the void. Let me show you now that the spiritual energy you so pride yourself on is nothing before me. As Lin Dong extended his hand, a surge of immense spiritual energy erupted from his Naiwan palace, transforming into a giant crystalline fist that rocketed toward Huangpu Ying with overwhelming force. The sudden formation of this spiritual energy fist caused Huangpu Ying's expression to change slightly. From it, he could feel a dense pressure. This spiritual energy was not just equal to his own. It seemed even stronger by a significant margin. How is this possible? I only possess this level of spiritual energy and primordial energy because I was fortunate enough to inherit a senior's spiritual energy years ago. How could this guy's spiritual energy be even stronger than mine? This realization sent a shock through Huangpu Ying, leaving him stunned. When Lin Dong had thwarted his first attack, Huangpu Ying had noticed that Lin Dong seemed to have cultivated spiritual energy as well. But he had never imagined that Lin Dong's spiritual energy would surpass his own. Shadow bind. Despite his inner turmoil, Huangpu Ying wasted no time in reacting. He stamped his foot on the stone pillar, and the shadows beneath him surged forth like a net, enveloping the descending spiritual energy fist. While resisting Lin Dong's assault, Huangpu Ying's hands formed complex seals, causing the entire hall to echo with the sound of cutting wind. Shadows materialized into sharp spears, aiming straight for Lin Dong's vital points. Lin Dong merely smiled at this sight and took a step forward. Then, with a deep breath, he released a powerful sound wave formed from his spiritual energy, which erupted from his mouth. The sound wave, like a tangible storm, radiated outward from Lin Dong, shattering the shadow spears as they hurtled towards him. Humph! Huangpu Ying's face grew darker as he witnessed Lin Dong's overwhelming strength. In desperation, he bit down hard on his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of blood. The blood split into dozens of streams, each one shooting into the shadows of the stone pillars. Instantly, the shadows began to writhe and swell, transforming into massive shadow beasts that charged at Lin Dong with earth-shaking steps. Interesting, Lin Dong muttered, impressed by Huangpu Ying's ability to manipulate shadows with his spiritual energy. He then reached out with his hand, grasping at the air. As Lin Dong's hand clenched, large crystalline bubbles materialized around the shadow beasts, trapping them within. Explode! With a slight squeeze of his hand, the crystalline bubbles contracted violently, crushing the shadow beasts inside and causing them to burst into nothingness. One by one, the crystalline bubbles exploded within the grand hall, taking the shadow beasts with them, leaving behind nothing but emptiness. Seeing his many techniques being effortlessly neutralized by Lin Dong, Huangpu Ying's face grew increasingly grim, his expression darkening with every passing moment. Lin Dong raised his head and looked at Huangpu Ying with a faint smile. Your techniques are indeed impressive, integrating spiritual energy with shadows to create unpredictable attacks. However, they are useless against me. Huang Puing sneered coldly. Even if I can't defeat you, you won't be able to beat me either. With that, his figure suddenly melded into the shadows, disappearing from sight. Huh, Lin Dong, even if your spiritual energy is formidable, you won't be able to find me. No one in this world can catch Huang Puing. Defeating me is impossible for you. Although Huang Puing had vanished, his mocking laughter echoed throughout the grand hall, making it impossible for Lin Dong to pinpoint his location. Lin Dong frowned. Huang Puing's stealth techniques were indeed troublesome. If this dragged on, it would not bode well for him. He knew Huang Puing would hide and wait for the right moment to strike, aiming for that one fatal blow when Lin Dong showed the slightest sign of weakness. As long as there were shadows in the hall, Huang Puing could perfectly conceal himself. The only way to force him out would be to eliminate the shadows entirely, but destroying all the stone pillars to remove the shadows wasn't a practical solution. Destroying the shadows. Lin Dong glanced at the numerous massive stone pillars in the hall and shook his head in resignation. Even if he could destroy the pillars, it wasn't feasible to demolish the entire structure. Lin Dong, you're too foolish. If you want to eliminate the shadows, just use the power of the Devouring Ancestral Talisman. Its devouring force can even swallow light. So what are mere shadows? Suddenly, Xiao Yan's voice echoed in Lin Dong's mind. Devour the shadows? Lin Dong was taken aback, but then a flash of joy crossed his eyes. He had forgotten about that. With the Devouring Ancestral Talisman's power, even light could be swallowed. Shadows were no exception. With this realization, a smile appeared on Lin Dong's face. He focused his mind, and a black vortex began to slowly expand beneath his feet. Instantly, the devouring force spread out in all directions. As the devouring force expanded, a strange scene unfolded. The intangible shadows within the hall began to wriggle as if turning into streams of black liquid, flowing across the floor before being completely absorbed by the black vortex at Lin Dong's feet. Lin Dong watched with a smile as the shadows flowed towards the vortex like a river. He knew that Huang Puing was hiding within these shadows, and before the black hole could devour them completely, he would have to reveal himself. Under Lin Dong's watchful gaze, the shadows were drawn closer and closer to the vortex. Just as the last shadow was about to be consumed, it suddenly wriggled, and Huang Puing's figure burst out from it, retreating rapidly. Let's see where you can hide now. The moment Huang Puing appeared, Lin Dong's body shot forward. His steps were swift, leaving behind 9 afterimages in an instant, while his energy surged explosively. 9 shadow breaks. Lin Dong executed the 9 shadow breaks technique while using the Tai Ching travel step, his figure flashing as he appeared directly in front of the shocked Huang Puing. His eyes turned cold as he delivered a powerful punch. Facing Lin Dong's fierce punch, Huang Puing hurriedly gathered his primordial energy to form a defense. At the same time, he unleashed his spiritual energy in an attempt to intercept Lin Dong's attack. However, without the advantage of his shadow techniques, Huang Puing was no match for Lin Dong in a head-on clash. Lin Dong's punch shattered the thick primordial energy defense in an instant, and the layers of spiritual energy barriers were also blown apart at an alarming speed. The devastating punch, carrying immense and domineering force, finally broke through all defenses and struck Huang Puing's chest with a heavy impact. With that powerful blow, Huang Puing's face instantly turned ashen, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was sent flying like a cannonball, crashing into a massive stone pillar and snapping it in half. Lin Dong's figure gradually reappeared as he observed the now severely weakened Huang Puing. His eyes showed a slight ripple of emotion, knowing that this talented genius from the Huangpu clan had met his end in the seed selection. Meanwhile, outside the hall on the high platform, Lin Fan finally allowed a smile to emerge on his face. He knew that Lin Dong was getting closer to securing a spot. If Lin Dong could pass the next round, he would successfully earn a place. However, Lin Fan also understood that the next round would be the true test of the seed selection.